So I know we live in Australia, and I know we all joke about how we have the drop bears and the wildlife that wants to kill you, and it's really hot all the time. And 2 hobbits tried to deposit a ring in my room earlier because it's that hot. Yes, I know. But it is really freaking hot today. It is too hot to put up lights, so you're gonna have to deal with this weird lighting. You're gonna have to deal with sounds of cars because I can't set up anywhere else. I've tried to film this video already, but there was too much sweat happening. I was afraid for the safety of my books. Howdy booktube, Nikki here. This is my January wrap up of the reading that I did in January. It's February now, and February, it's like decided that it's gonna outdo all of the other summer months. It's gonna be the best summer month there was with the hottest summeriness. I'm in front of my bookshelf, by the way. The bookshelf that I usually film in front of is where my comic books are. These are my red shelves behind me. I didn't count the books that I read in January. I could do that now, not going to, because it's really hot and numbers have stopped working. To start off the new year, I thought, hey, it's a new dawn, it's a new day. It is a new month. Let's read something that I've read before. So I read Stormbreaker by Anthony Horowitz. This is the first book in the Alex Rider series, and I've read this about a billion times. I don't actually have a count of how many times I've read this series, but it's a lot. This is the copy that I read. It has Alex Pettifer's face on it, and I've got a lovely note from my friend because she gave it to me for my 16th birthday. We were both pretty obsessed with the series, and we'd like wait for every book to come out, and then we went and saw the movie as soon as we could, and then we both laughed at how horrendous the movie was. So this is the copy that I read, but of course I have a nicer copy that I received recently, which is signed by Anthony Horowitz himself, which is amazing. But I don't actually read this ever because it's to be kept pristine. The series follows Alex Rider. He is 14 years old and he's pretty much an orphan. He's raised by his uncle, and then his uncle dies, and then he finds out that his uncle was a spy. What? And that his uncle was also grooming Alex for the spy life as well. He doesn't really want that. He's not really into it. No thanks, mate. But MI6 pretty much blackmail him into going on this mission for them, and it's really explosive and huge, and it's kind of like that James Bond eccentric millionaire who wants to blow up half the world or whatever. So it's big and bold and a bit nuts, and I really enjoy it. I did find that in his first book you don't get to see as much of Alex and his character coming through, I guess because there's so much to establish. So we have it 4 out of 5 stars. These books are a little bit formulaic, but I wouldn't call them super predictable. Then again, it's hard for me to say. I've read this at least 5 times. Also this month I read Point Blank, which is the second book in the series. I really enjoyed this one. I feel like Alex's personality came through a lot stronger in this one. You get to see him interacting with people his own age, and I feel like he's just a lot funnier. Like his deadpan, sarcastic humor cuts through and it's hilarious. I did give it a 4.5, like it was really close to a 5, but I just know how much better the series gets and how much it builds after the first few books, so I left it at a 4.5 for now, but it was really fun. So this month I read the first 5 books in the Animorphs series. This is a series from the 90s. It was my like bread and butter as a child. I love this series. I'm going to talk about these in a different video, just focused on Animorphs, announcing some stuff. Early this month there was a readathon called TBR Takedown that I was taking part in. I did mean to film a TBR and a wrap up, but I had this whole eye thing going on where I thought my eye was gonna, I don't know, pop out of my head or something. I've now returned to the ocular excellence to which I am accustomed, but my eye was hurting and I couldn't read a lot, so I wasn't sure if I was gonna be able to keep up, but I did manage to fulfill all the challenges of TBR Takedown. TBR Takedown was started by Leaning Lights, I believe, and I'll link her channel below because it's really cool and she's really cool and I love her channel. So TBR Takedown is the kind of readathon that has like challenges and stuff, so I fulfilled all of them. I think I doubled up on most of them though. The first 2 challenges that I took down with the first book were a book that has been on your TBR for over a year, and then a book that was out of your comfort zone. So this book had been on my TBR for a long time, and that's, I think, because it didn't seem like something I would like to read, and it probably wasn't the best book to start the readathon with. Whoops. But anyway, that book was Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick, and it's about a girl named Nora who falls in love with a boy named Patch, who's quite obviously some sort of angel dude. You know how people rage quit? Like they rage quit, like maybe you DNF a book, maybe you're playing a video game and you are sucking and it's really hard, so you throw down your controller and walk away. See, that's what smart people do. I'm not a smart person. I don't rage quit things. I rage continue. I'm the idiot that sits there all night and keeps playing the game and getting worse and worse and just getting angry at it, because I don't know how to quit these things. And I didn't care how angry this book made me. I had to finish this book because I had to see if there was any skerrick of evidence to suggest that this book would be enjoyable to anyone. So I'm sorry if this is your favorite book. I expected it to be cheesy, but I thought, oh, it's gonna be the kind of cheesy that's, you know, you enjoy. Like one of those shows that I binge watch, you know, shamelessly, even though it's not great. It's not going to win an Emmy for best script writing. This was cheese of the moldy variety. I thought that Nora was pretty annoying. Patch is gross. He's not even got that whole like tormented, like I want to be good, I want to redeem myself. No, he's horrible. He has really bad intentions and he doesn't like, he's not set down a path of redemption at all. He's just annoying and creepy. Nora's best friend V is like a collection of tropes wearing clothing and hair, and her mother is super negligent. So I didn't enjoy it. I won't be reading the next ones. The next two challenges were a book from your last haul and a non-novel book, which was convenient because my last haul had been from the comic bookshop, and that was Gwen Stacy Volume 0, Most Wanted. This is written by Jason Latour and illustrated by Robbie Rodriguez, and it's set in an alternate Spider-Verse where Gwen Stacy was the one bitten by the spider instead of Peter Parker, and Peter Parker actually died. Sad face! But it's a lot of fun, and I love the colors. Oh my gosh, look at the colors. They're so good. I love these colors. So I'll definitely be picking up the next one. I wouldn't recommend this for somebody who's like, oh, I want to read comics for the very first time ever. I'm gonna pick this one. It's probably not the best place to start. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars because it was really fun, a little confusing at times, but overall I super enjoyed it and I'm looking forward to reading more. The next challenge was to read the first book in a series, and a book with fire colors on the cover. I don't know why I did that, but fire. I picked Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. This is the first book in the Grisha trilogy. I really love this world. It was just super fun to be in. It's a great fantasy world with an awesome sort of magic system. I felt like the story didn't quite live up to the amazingness of the world that it was set in. It wasn't necessarily bad, it just kind of fell into familiar YA fantasy territory at times, and I really did like the main character. And there were definitely some twists that I did not foresee. Didn't see it coming. I'd heard a lot about the Darkling, and I can freaking understand why. I don't know whether I love the Darkling or hate the Darkling. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The last challenge was to read a sequel, which I did. It was the second Animorphs book, The Visitor by Catherine Applegate, and I will talk about this when I talk about the other ones in that video. Before the readathon started, I was halfway through The Fifth Wave by Ricky Yancey because I wanted to read it before the movie came out, and I'd actually put it down. It's rare for me to put down a book and start another book without finishing the first one, unless I'm DNFing it and getting rid of it completely, because as you know from my rage continuing of things instead of rage quitting, that's not what I do. So it was strange that I'd put this down, but it did hit a bit in the middle that I was just not as keen on. But when I finished the readathon, I got an email from Penguin Teen, I think, telling me that I was invited to the preview screening of The Fifth Wave. And I was like, awesome! Crap, I need to finish the book. So I did manage to finish the book, and I'm glad I did because I did overall enjoy it, but I had lots of strong feelings about it. And I enjoyed seeing like how the world could potentially be destroyed by aliens, in what ways we could be attacked, that sort of thing. I really like Cassie's character. I feel like she kind of avoided some of the tropey, familiar stuff that you see with a lot of dystopian female heroes, especially. Like, she had a gun. It was realistic. Like, she had to have a gun because there were aliens everywhere. And she also had to make some tough choices and do some things that were not good. I don't like her in the movie as much. I feel like she was rescued too much. She wasn't as smart as she was in the books. The point of view changes a bunch of times, and at first that threw me, but I became really grateful for that because in the middle there's this giant romance that I did not like one bit in the book or the movie. The movie, it's worse, but we do get perspectives of other people, which I feel showed us what was happening in other places. I really like the character of Zombie, and I liked that during the romance and stuff, it was a relief to get to a chapter that he did. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I don't think I'm gonna like where the second book is going, because I think there's gonna be a love triangle. So overall, I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. I'm not gonna be rushing to finish the series when the last one comes out. So I didn't get to film a wrap up for December or a TBR for January. But this year I continued to do the monthly TBR pick from good old TBR2D2 over here. And I picked in January, and the book that I picked was Reggie. You can't change your past, but you can change your future. It's a very long title. This is by Reggie Dabbs with John Driver. So Reggie Dabbs is a speaker. He speaks to young people at conferences and stuff, and I think he goes to schools and things in America. I've heard him speak a couple of times, and he's a very good speaker. He's very good at communicating with young people and telling his story, and he shares from his heart, but he's also hilarious. It's kind of hard to explain the book itself. It's sort of like he talks about his life a lot, but he's also encouraging young people to kind of like, it doesn't matter where you've come from, you can do great things, and sort of like motivational and inspirational. So he tells stories of, you know, people that he's met and stuff as well as telling stories from like the Bible and stuff, because it's obviously influenced him a lot. I really enjoyed reading in parts about his life, because that's what I was most interested in, because I'd heard a lot of the other stuff before, but it was kind of, it jumped around a lot, so I think it's more suited to somebody who doesn't read a lot of non-fiction, or a lot maybe at all, and who's a lot younger. I gave it a 3 out of 5. I really enjoyed his story. I think he's a funny guy, and I think a lot of young people would get a lot of benefit out of this, but I think it's more like kids starting high school rather than me having finished a lot of that. A lot of it wasn't relevant to me. Last year I read hardly any comic books, which is wrong, because I love comic books and I have a hugely growing TBR of them. So I decided to make a comic book TBR jar. This is comic book cat bug, because I couldn't think of a better pun. And you might be thinking, that's not a jar. Wait for it. Ha ha! I'm so diabolical. So I have all my comic book titles right there. I pick one a month. Woohoo! Did I mention it talks? Because he talks. My first Catbug comic book pick ever was Miss Marvel No Normal. This is volume 1 of Miss Marvel with Kamala. And this is her kind of taking up the mantle of Ms. Marvel. I really enjoyed it. So this is written by G. Willow Wilson, and the artwork is by Adrian Alphona, and if I had realized that earlier, I would have read this so much sooner, because I love Adrian Alphona. So if you saw my top 15 of 15 book video thingo, you would have seen that my favorite comic is Runaways, and Adrian Alphona does Runaways. There's a lot like in the background of panels and stuff that you might miss, so it's worth probably spending a little of extra time just looking at the art. Overall I gave it a 4 stars. I thought it was pretty cool. Some people seem to be confused about her powers and how she got them and stuff, but as a comic book reader I've just kind of learned that you get snippets of information at a time, and I wasn't confused at all by her powers. So I don't know, maybe that's because I've come across them before, but it was all pretty cool to me as a comic book reader. So this year I'm super interested in finishing a bunch of series, and one of them has been the Maximum Ride series by James Patterson. Unfortunately, when we got to the 4th book, the series just like began a quick descent into Crapville. So I read the 5th book, Max, the 6th book, Fang, and the 7th book, Angel. I gave Max 2 stars, which I feel was a bit generous, and these 2 I gave 1 star because it's just terrible. It's just not good. I'm sorry if this is your favorite series. Everyone I know that has liked this series have all said that after the 4th book, it's not good. Basically, you just get like villains out of nowhere, literally mass-produced bad guys. The adults are written so badly, and you might be asking yourself, why are you continuing to read this series? Well, that's an awesome question, but we've discussed this already. We've discussed that I'm a rage completer, okay? I need to get to the bottom of this series. The reason that I did start rereading it was because I had never finished the series. Marvel also picked up the series to do in comic book form, and I picked up the first issue and I thought, oh, they're gonna be able to fix a whole lot of the problems with the books. And the first issue fixed up a bunch of problems and explored things in a really cool way, and I was really keen to continue reading the series. But the main problem I have with the books is that I don't think that James Patterson knew the end game starting out, or at any point throughout the series. Like, he wrote a last book and then he wrote another book, so I don't think he knew how it was gonna end, and so I wanted to know how it ended so I could see if Marvel were gonna have the same issues. I do have one more book, which was the final book before he wrote the other one, but I'm just going to read that final book. I'm not going to read the Maximum Ride Forever one or whatever he wrote after that, because no, I'm not going to do that. You gave us a last book. It says the final Maximum Ride adventure. You can just go and freaking publish another crime book, okay? Because you've got 40,000 of those. The last book that I read was just a light read, knocked out by my nunga-nungas. I know. Remind me not to read these in public, because what? By Louise Renison. This is the 3rd book in the Georgia Nicholson series. I really liked it. It's about the most dramatic 14-year-old in the whole of the UK. The main character is really dramatic, but also a little bit mean, and I do feel conflicted about some of the things she says, but also she just gets herself into these stupid, like, situations and stuff. It's funny. It's like karma in a book. The cat Angus is my fave, so that's why I'm reading the series. Gave it 3 out of 5. It's a really good quick read in between books. After rage reading a book, just come to this. I'm not expecting greatness, but it will make me laugh. So those are all the books that I read. There's a lot of them. Pretty mixed reading month overall, but I was pretty happy. I'm getting through a bunch of series and starting a whole bunch of things I wanted to start before now, so that's cool. Let me know in the comments below if you read any of those books, or if you are going to read any of those books, or like what the temperature is where you are, because I want to live vicariously through people right now who are living in the snow because it's really hot. I'm gonna go and just sit in my fridge. I'm gonna sit in my fridge, I'm gonna climb in, I'm gonna close the door. It's gonna be beautiful. But in the meantime, stay cool. Get it? Because it's really hot. Cool beans. I wish I had cool beans. I'd press them against my face in the fridge. Okay, I'm gonna go now.